My stepfather kicked me out of his daughter's luxury wedding and called me bad luck. By the time everything unraveled in front of hundreds of guests, they were desperate to reach me, but I was already gone, building a life on the other side of the world. I was sitting at gate C7 in the airport when my phone lit up. Richard calling. The same man who, 2 months earlier, had looked me dead in the eye and said, "You're nothing but bad energy for this family. Show up at my daughter's wedding and I'll have you escorted out." I let it ring. Then again. Then my mom, Linda, texted, "Please answer. We need you." I stared out at the runway, watching planes lift into the sky, and for the first time, it felt real. I was leaving. 2 months earlier, Richard had cornered me in his immaculate kitchen in their house in Newport Beach. Everything looked perfect, like a magazine spread. Marble counters, spotless floors, not a single thing out of place. Meanwhile, I was struggling to pay rent on my tiny apartment in Santa Ana, juggling hospital bills from a surgery the year before, and driving a car that barely stopped when I hit the brakes. And there he was, talking about Sophie's perfect wedding. "We don't need negativity," he said, placing his coffee mug down with a sharp click. "You always bring problems." By problems, he meant me, my job as a nursing assistant, my debt, my life that didn't fit into his polished image. I didn't argue. I just left. That night, I told my boyfriend Ethan I wasn't going. Ethan worked construction up in Oregon. Quiet, steady, the kind of man who didn't waste words. He listened, then said simply, "If they don't want you there, don't go. Let's go somewhere else." At first, it sounded like a joke, but within a week, it became a plan. A friend of his in Lisbon had a small apartment we could rent short-term. It was risky. I had debt, no savings, no safety net, but I also knew something else. If I didn't leave now, I'd never stop being the one they blamed. On the day of the wedding, I made the mistake of opening social media. White roses, crystal glasses, designer dresses, Sophie smiling like she'd never hurt anyone. I'd known her since she was a kid. She'd learned early how to say exactly what Richard wanted to hear. My mom called that morning. "Can you at least send a gift?" I checked my bank account and hung up by the time the reception started. Ethan and I were already at the airport. I was sitting by the window when he handed me my phone. "You've got a lot of missed calls." I opened the messages. From my mom. "She's freaking out. She's yelling at the bar. Something is playing on the screen." Then another message. "The recording you sent. It's being played." 2 weeks earlier, I had emailed something to the wedding coordinator. Nothing illegal, nothing hacked. Just a recording that already belonged to me. A year before, when I'd been recovering from surgery and temporarily staying at Richard's house, I overheard a conversation. The study door was slightly open. Sophie was on speakerphone. "If she doesn't come, it'll be easier," she said. "Dad will handle it. Just call her bad luck, she'll back off." They were talking about me, then they laughed. About my mom. About how she never stands up for me. I stood there and pressed record, not for revenge, for proof. When I emailed the coordinator, I wrote, "If anyone tries to blame me or twist the story, play this. I won't be there. But the truth should be." I didn't think she'd actually do it, but she did. My mom's texts kept coming. "Everyone can hear it. It's Sophie's voice. Richard looks like he's going to collapse. The groom just left." As the plane started moving, I fastened my seatbelt. I expected to feel something big, victory, satisfaction. But instead, I felt quiet, still. By the time we landed in Lisbon, everything had fallen apart. Sophie tried to blame a technical issue. No one believed her. The groom left and didn't come back. Within days, the engagement was over. Ethan and I settled into a small apartment overlooking the water. I found work at a clinic helping English-speaking patients. It wasn't glamorous, but it was honest for the first time in years. I was too busy building something new to keep reliving the past. One evening, standing on the balcony, Ethan said, "You've spent your whole life fixing things for people who never fixed anything for you. Maybe not fixing it is the fix." A week later, Richard called. This time, I answered. His voice sounded smaller. "Why would you do that?" I looked out at the ocean. "I didn't do anything," I said calmly. "I wasn't even there. The truth just showed up." Silence. "Then, people are talking. They always do," I said. "This time, it's not about me." After the call, I texted my mom, "I love you, but I'm not coming back." Hours later, she replied, "Maybe you're right." That meant more than any apology. In the months that followed, I applied for a small healthcare training grant, and I got it. I started studying again, building something of my own. We lived simply. Cheap meals, long walks, quiet evenings. I paid off my debt slowly, steadily. Sometimes I think about what would have happened if I'd gone to that wedding. I see myself standing in a corner, smiling, shrinking, going home feeling small. Instead, I chose myself. For the first time, revenge didn't feel loud. It didn't feel dramatic. It felt like closing a door and walking towards sunlight. And walking away, that was the best decision I ever made.